Was there luck in your journey? Was there moments of luck that you look back on and say, that was truly outside of my control, but if that hadn't have happened, I wouldn't have been the success that I am?
Oh my God, so much luck.
What is the piece of luck that comes to mind?
So after my first book, which I wrote when I was 23 and was a big success, I wrote a book on leadership. I was 27. I took a lot of time writing it, and I ran out of money. All the money I had made from The Female Woman, my first book. But I was determined not to write another book on women. After that first book, everybody wanted me to keep writing on women. And trust me, I had said everything I needed to say, everything I knew and beyond on women. And I wanted to move on. As you can see from the topics of my books, I like to move on because I learn through writing a book. And that's very important to me. So I ran out of money, and so I remember being really depressed, walking down St. James's Street in London and thinking, well, maybe my first book was a fluke. This book has been rejected by 37 publishers. So
37 publishers rejected your book?
Yes. Rejection after rejection after rejection.
Why didn't you give up?
I said, maybe it's time to give up and go get a real job. And I was going by Barclays Bank in the corner of St. James's Street. I don't know if it's still there. And something made me get into the bank and ask to see the bank manager. And the bank manager, whose name was Ian Bell, came, and I told him my story, and I asked for an overdraft. I had no assets, and he gave it to me. Now that's luck, right? He had no earthly banking reason to give me that overdraft. I still sent him a holiday card every year. But it reminded me of fairy tales, when the hero or the heroine is stuck in a dark forest, and then these helpful animals come out to guide them out of the forest. Well, that's back to trust. I believe in life there are these helpful animals in the form of a bank manager or whatever. And you can call it luck, but I also call it part of the benevolent universe we live in, Stephen.
Can you influence the benevolent universe? Because you point at these moments and say luck, but in there I see so much intention. And I also see someone who I imagine, from meeting you today, and there we've spent 2 hours together, has an ability to win people over. I want to know how you can influence the benevolent universe to be benevolent.
Absolutely. You influence the benevolent universe by taking action. Like I took action. I went to the bank.
The bank didn't come to you.
The bank didn't come to me. But beyond that, it was out of my hands. And very often people don't go to the bank because they're afraid of rejection. So when we've overcome that fear of rejection, that fear of failure, we are much more likely to take bold moves. And also, if you look at your life, and if I look at mine, there are so many so-called coincidences, serendipity, somebody you meet. I mean, I loved your conversation with Whitney Wolf. Yeah. She was at a dinner and they offered her a job. Sure, she called them to follow up on the job, but that, you could say, was just a coincidence that she met that person at a dinner. And I call coincidences the miracles that God performs anonymously. And if you don't like using the term God, it doesn't matter. Whatever term you use, it's basically that benevolent universe. There is a phrase, there is a verse in the Bible that I love, which is not a sparrow falls, but God is behind it. Like nothing happens, however trivial, that doesn't have some divine purpose behind it.
Do you believe that?
I do. Actually, Stephen, I don't believe. I know.
How can you be so sure?
I bet there are many things you're sure of. Aren't you sure of the impact you are having with your work? Don't be modest.
Am I sure of the impact? No, I don't think it's possible to be. I know that we're doing good work for sure, because people come up and tell me.
Well,
Yeah.
isn't that impact?
Yeah. I'm sure that that's a positive force for sure.
Yeah.
But that's because someone's come up and told me.
Right. But
Nobody's come up to me and told me that, there's divinity, there's something divine in everything that happens. Because the minute you say that, I think of all the bad things that happen. I think
yes.
it is, I'm just going to be honest, one of the first things that I thought about was what happened in Nazi Germany.
Of
I
course.
thought about the suffering. And
Absolutely. There is an enormous amount of suffering. But the question is, do you trust that it's not because there is an indifferent or malevolent force in the universe, but because so much of what happens is beyond our understanding, that we cannot comprehend the mystery of the universe just through our minds alone.
I do trust that.
And so the more we can connect with our spirit, our soul, the more we can be in touch with meaning and purpose. But if we try to comprehend everything through our minds, they're so limited.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.